or immigration law or the Kavanaugh hearing or the Kavanaugh not hearing. Where do we start? Well, we start with Senator Ron Johnson. Good morning. Thanks very much for talking with us.
Good morning, Mike. How are you doing?
I am well. Still reeling over Kavanaugh. We'll get to that in just a second. Can we talk just a minute about the Baldwin-Vukmir race here in Wisconsin? What do you think? Sure. What's your opinion of what's going on?
Well, first of all, I probably met Leah Vukmir 34 years ago when she was a nurse in the intensive care unit at Milwaukee Children's. My daughter had a serious congenital heart defect, and we didn't know it at the time, but when we pieced events together, she almost had to be working on the ward when my daughter when her life was being saved. So, from my standpoint, Leah Vukmir, first and foremost, is a mom. She's a nurse. And that tells me she's somebody who cares. And I've seen her care about the state of Wisconsin. She showed the courage during Act 10 to stand by Scott Walker and really turn the state around, and that's what's happened. We have 2.9% unemployment. Tuition in the UW university system has remained flat. Property taxes declined. So, if James Carville is even partially correct, it's all about the economy. We've turned the state around. Leah Vukmir is one of those individuals that, working with Scott Walker, did it. So I think Scott Walker ought to be reelected, and I think Leah Vukmir, because she's somebody who cares deeply about the state, now about the country, I hope she gets elected. I'd love to have her serve with me.
Do you think that politics these days is getting, I don't want to say dirtier, but uglier? Politics today versus politics when you were young, aspiring candidate, even thinking about a career in politics. I got to believe that you didn't think back then that it would be like this today.
No, but listen, there's always been, divisive policies in this nation. One thing I've never seen in my life, though, is a president not getting any kind of a honeymoon whatsoever. Where you don't wish that individual well. I mean, I certainly hope that President Obama could succeed at keeping this nation safe, secure, make it more prosperous, create greater opportunities. I mean, that's just what happens. But it didn't happen with Donald Trump. And the day after the election, the resistance movement began. I've never seen the day after the inauguration where you had hundreds of thousands of people protest and a concerted effort in many quarters to sabotage this administration. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
So it is very unfortunate. For my part, as being a senator, all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to address these enormous challenges we face, whether it's international affairs or whether it's domestic. The fact we're mortgaging our children's future, and I'm using a business person's approach, trying to find areas of agreement. Let's not concentrate on the things that divide us, but let's try and concentrate on the areas that unite us. And there are plenty. There really are. But it's going to take people of goodwill really recognizing what's in the best interest of Wisconsin, in the best interest of our nation, and just tenaciously trying to pursue those areas of agreement. That's kind of how I handle my job.
Let's talk a little about the Families Act, trying to fix the broken immigration system. How do you think the Families Act would do that?
Well, here's a classic example. Judiciary Committee tried, but they were not really able to do it. So we wrote a piece of legislation that would fall under my committee's jurisdiction, and I'm just going through the problem-solving process. We're laying out the problem, and first of all, the areas of agreement. Nobody wants to separate families. Nobody does. It is heart-wrenching, but I think most people want to secure our borders. They want to enforce our immigration laws. They want to maintain some reasonable asylum standards. So I'm trying to lay out those goals we can agree on, and then working through a very transparent, very open committee process, fix the legal precedent. It's really this Flores reinterpretation that forces our law enforcement, if they want to enforce our laws, to separate families. Nobody wants that. So we have to fix that. And so right now our immigration laws in this instance are really being dictated not by really a law, but a settlement that was, a legal settlement that was reinterpreted by the courts. These things should be fixed in law. That's what Congress should be doing. That's what I'm trying to do through my committee. But again, all we would do is we would override the Flores reinterpretation. We would provide more judges to rapidly adjudicate the asylum claims and keep the families together in a safe and secure environment while those claims are being adjudicated. If it looks like they have a valid asylum claim, we release them into the interior then. That'd probably be what the process would be. But again, I'm just trying to go through this and see if we can't, I would call it a nonpartisan basis, go through the problem-solving process, identify the root cause, identify an achievable goal and then design the solution to solve that problem.
Where do you think we will we just have to find the money for 225 immigration judges to accomplish your goals?
Well, listen, in a $4 trillion budget, there's all kinds of wasteful spending sloshing around. But again, you also have to understand how much it costs us to indefinitely continue these asylum claims, whether it's in detention, with alternates to detention, with ankle bracelets and other things. I mean, that's a costly process, too. It's also a very costly process to maintain these incentives for illegal immigration where you have people flooding our border. And it's hundreds of thousands of people that are exploiting our laws, whether it's unaccompanied children or family units. It's very clear. I showed charts in our committee hearings over the last 4 or 5 years as people in Central America understand our laws are just ripe for exploitation. They're doing so. That costs America hundreds of millions of dollars, quite honestly. So if we can stop that flow by ending or reduce that flow by reducing these illegal incentives, it would be well worth the administrative law judges and to actually solve the problem.
Will there? I don't understand, I guess, why Democrats seem to feel that the world is invited to come here and we will share our wealth because we are wealthy. Oh, and by the way, the wealthiest of our wealthy will foot any bills necessary because politicians continually work on ways to separate them from their money because no one should be that rich.
Well, you're asking me to understand the mind of a liberal progressive. I really don't. I mean,
Okay.
I'm from Mars, they're from Venus.
Yeah.
So, but
unfair question.
You're making the point. I think that's part of the problem. I think most Americans do want a secure border. We're a compassionate nation. We truly are. When we see people suffering around the world, we want to help them. And that's actually very good. I agree with that. We want to help everybody. The best way to do it is show them the right way of doing this, a free market system with a democratic system of government, freedom, individual liberty. That's really what is going to lift people out of poverty, not opening up our borders and really harming our own nation. That's not going to solve any problem.
Well, and giving things away just alienates those people who have been living here, doing it the legal way for a long time, and they discover that somebody else that's also living in the basement of that church just got a bunch of free stuff handed to them by a newly elected Democrat.
Well, you're always better off teaching somebody how to fish rather than just giving them a fish. I mean, I think that's just a basic life truism. And again, that's there are all kinds of things we can do. But from my standpoint, we should secure our border for a host of reasons. If we want to fix our horribly broken legal immigration system, we need a secure border. If we want to keep fentanyl and heroin coming, streaming across the border, we need to secure our border. If we want to keep potential terrorists out, we need to secure our border. If we want to keep endemic diseases out, we need to secure our border. So there's a host of reasons we need to secure our border, and it starts with ending the incentives for people to come across illegally.
Yeah, well, there's just, man, oh man. And of course, a very important topics. I appreciate you spending time with us. I wish we had more time to talk about the Kavanaugh hearings. I am still absolutely flabbergasted that it seems that Christine Blasey Ford is telling Congress how they will do her business. I just don't get that. And Democrats, male and female, seem to be falling all over themselves in an effort to, as Ron Johnson pointed out, torpedo President Trump at any turn, for any reason, in any way, shape, or form. New politics, no problem, as long as he doesn't win. Senator Ron Johnson, thanks for talking with us this morning. We'll do it again. 8:29, here's Scott Robert Shaw.